Guys, what's up? How's it going? Uh, Survivor Series Wargames just went off the air. Hopefully, you guys were watching it and you enjoyed it. Hope everybody had a nice uh, Thanksgiving. And now we're looking ahead to Christmas and New Year. And as you saw multiple times as you were watching Wargames, uh, a couple of promos for the Royal Rumble, also some promos and highlights of like Liv Morgan, The Miz, Brock Lesnar. And at first, when they showed Brock Lesnar, I'm like, is he returning? Like, what was going on with that? But as they went on and they kept showing different ones, I'm pretty sure it was just like a prelude of who you're gonna see or most likely see either in the Royal Rumble or at the Royal Rumble. But War Games just went off the air, and I'm not gonna start with the War Games matches. I'm gonna get to the Sami Zayn stuff in a minute, but I think we have to start with the triple threat match for the U.S. title with Austin Theory, Bobby Lashley, and Seth Rollins. First of all, I will say that was the best match up until that point. Number one. Number two, my pick was wrong. My pick was wrong for a lot of them except for one. Number two, why why did we do what we did a couple of weeks ago with the Money in the Bank if you're going to put the title on him anyway? I mean, you saw the shock from the crowd, okay? And I think the shock was you were pretty much burying him. What I think it just sort of came out of left field, and I don't know if Triple H and team did it because they saw the negative reaction to what they did with the Money in the Bank. There was some speculation. I mean, certainly my friend who was here watching it, he just left. I wanted him to stay on so we could sort of do I wanted him to stay so we could sort of do like a back and forth on this, but he had to go. Um, you know, what my friend was saying was, I just lost my train of thought. You know, yes, was it in a response? Oh, that's what it was. Was it in a response to how the crowd felt on what he did? Or what Triple H did because it was just stupid what they did Money in the Bank, or was just to do a character change because as you see they pointed out he doesn't have the cell phone, he's more serious, all this stuff. I mean, I believe I said this in another podcast. If that was the goal, was to get him to change his character to be more serious, did he have to lose the Money in the Bank to do that? Now I'm happy he got the belt back because again, I'm a fan of Austin Theory. I like Austin Theory. I like his character, but it just is mind-boggling. It's almost as if you think Vince booked that. No offense to Vince. It's just the inconsistency and sort of the sloppiness of it. Of okay, yes, you want to give that shock to the fans, which you did. Congratulations, but it's like he could still be holding Money in the Bank, and you didn't have to do that whole stupid shit. Honestly, if I was going to put money on it, I would go with the fact that they did it because they saw the negative reaction of what they did with the Money in the Bank because it just made no sense. I think that's why maybe they did it because why did you need to take the title off of Seth? The only reason why, and this is something else my friend and I discussed, because you saw the promo for him, was Cody. Is Cody on his way back that now you need to flip Seth Rollins back to being a heel? Because, as I've said, we are going to get another Cody versus Seth match. And it's not going to be a WrestleMania. I don't think they'll do this at the Royal Rumble if he comes back. I don't think they'll do it on Raw if they come back. Maybe they'll do an Elimination Chamber at the February event. But clearly, there's going to be another match between those two. And I think we'll get even more, especially if Cody wins the championship. We're going to get more of that. So maybe a little bit of Cody is intertwined in this because he's primed to come back. And they wanted to get the title off of him now, I mean, unless Cody's coming back on Monday, I guess you could have left that title on Seth a little bit longer, but maybe that's why they did it. It's just mind-boggling because Triple H has been firing all cylinders, and I really feel that his weakest point has really been the women's tag team championships, and I felt his other weak screw up was what he did with the Money in the Bank. Now, some will say he corrected it. Some will say, this is hot potato again. I was happy, I was satisfied as a fan that he has the United States Championship. What's going on? I don't know if he's going to continue. If Seth is going to chase, and now you want to help get him over by him beating Seth a couple more times. Remember, we're getting another Brock and Lashley match. When that's going to happen, I don't know. So I don't see Lashley. That's what I had said before. Lashley's not going to get the title back because he's going to be involved with Brock Lesnar. But then I guess you also said if Theory didn't win, where was Theory going to go after this? So we kind of know what's going on with Seth. Seth is either going to be involved with Cody if Cody's ready to come back, or he might be involved in the title picture, down the road in case the Rock picture falls through or the Cody falls through. Seth is probably a backup plan. But the match was great. I really enjoyed the match. I thought that was the best match I said up until they had it. Um, you know, some fans are gonna be left scratching their heads, but one day we're gonna get the true backstory. Okay, this probably won't be anytime soon, but in the future, if Austin's not there anymore, Seth is not there, at some point on somebody's podcast, we're gonna get the real story behind it on why we had so much flip flopping and what happened in that period and what the thought process was behind it. But Theory is your new United States champion, and let's see how they, piggyback off of that on Monday. So you figured the show was going to open up with the women's War Games match. I mean, listen, there was a lot of sloppy moments during that match. You got your holy shit moment when Io Sky did the flip off of it. They wanted some of these moments to pop up, because they want to have clips for when they do this in the future. Um, I wasn't blown away by the match. I will say I am surprised. I really thought if you wanted to get this damage control thing over, Bailey needed that big win. And, they kind of kept not kind of they kept saying that this is like the closing chapter between Bianca Belair and Bailey. So is Bailey shifted to facing Becky now? Is Bianca gonna go off and face Rhea Ripley now? I felt some things really weren't. There wasn't some closure, I guess, to put it that way, in some sense. If we were really putting that final nail in the coffin of the Bianca Belair and Bailey storyline, then to me, Bianca should have pinned Bailey. The stuff with Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss, with the handcuff, that was very sloppy to me. You could clearly see Nikki Cross is like waiting for Alexa to finally handcuff her. There was just a lot of sloppy moments during this match, and it's not. I'm not the type who watches these things and looks for those sloppy moments. They were just in your face. Okay. Um, I don't think the whole, the Rhea Ripley problem of Mia Yim supposed to be taking her out and all that stuff. To me, they really didn't interact as much as I thought they would, and I thought there would be sort of a defining moment of maybe Mia Yim putting her through a table or some high spot that just takes her out for like the rest of the match. That really didn't happen. Um, Alexa Bliss really, to me, was sort of a non-factor. Asuka had a few good things, with the mist and everything. I don't think it was a bad match. I thought it could have been better. But, listen, it's the first women's war game on the main roster. The one thing I was telling my friend is like, don't look for this to be something out of NXT. And even I had to remind myself that when the men's War Games was going on, like this is not NXT. You're not going to see a lot of flips. You're not going to see a lot of crazy stunts. So you kind of have to keep that in the back of your mind. And it's funny, he made a point. My friend said something to me after the first War Games was over. You know, first of all, do you think if Vince was still here, do you think we would have had a War Games match? And I said I don't know. But I said if we did, it would have been a very controlled, watered down version. And he agreed with me. And he even said this seemed like something Vince would have put together because it really seemed not compressed, but just not NXT. And that's what I was saying to him. Well, yeah, you're not going to see that. They're more ground based. They're more story driven, and the emotion and all that. So I think for a War Games on the main roster, I think this match fit it perfectly. Just there was just a lot of sloppy moments in it, and I think Bianca should have gotten the final pin if we're saying this is the end. So you're almost sort of at a reset almost because at least for me as a fan, I really can't tell where things are going to go now. Is Are we going to get Bailey versus Becky now? Is Bianca going to move on to Rhea Ripley? Are we going to get, Alexa and Nikki Cross? Are we going to get Alexa and Asuka going back after the women's tag team champion? What's going to happen with Mia Yim now? It's sort of hard to tell. And I think we're just at that reset, and maybe after the Royal Rumble we'll have a better sense, or leading into the Royal we'll get a better sense. But for the life of me, I have no idea where things are going in the women's division right now. I am completely lost. I know at some point Charlotte is supposed to return. I have a feeling she's going to be um, Ronda Rousey's opponent. Now this was under Vince that it was supposed to be 1 year beyond 1 year Ronda versus um, Becky, and then another year Charlotte versus Ronda. That was under Vince. Vince is not here, so I don't know where they're going with it, but I still thought it was a good way to start the show. I just sort of felt like the crowd was slightly a little flat for it, and also to me the crowd was flat for the other matches. So again, my pick was incorrect. I had damage control with it. It didn't win. Some sloppy spots, but not a horrible match. The next thing I want to go to, we'll go to the Ronda Rousey and the Shotsky. I mean, again, there's really no surprise in what happened with that match. To me, the fans really didn't seem into it, and that's all I can really just say about it. It was what it was. The uh, AJ Styles and Finn Balor match. First of all, I don't know what Finn is doing with some of these hoods or face masks or whatever the hell he's wearing to the ring. I know he wore like some spike one on Raw a couple of weeks ago, and then he just wore some ridiculous masks tonight. Just come out to the ring normal, dude. Those masks ain't working for you. I'm sorry. They're just not, and they just look ridiculous. But even for this match, I really feel that the crowd was flat for it, and the crowd didn't really seem that into it. I really think the anticipation was for the next War Games match, and you knew that's how they're going to set the card up. You knew you're going to get an openings War Game match and a closing. Everything else was going to be in between. And to me, the crowd did not come back alive until the triple threat match. So, placement really hurt these guys. And, I guess that they were smart to keep it low. I mean, keep the matches to a minimum. I mean, the first match took damn near 40 minutes. You know, Ronda with seven, and AJ and then with almost 20 minutes. But I was wrong on this one. I had Finn Balor going over. AJ won. I really thought Finn should have went over. Um, it was a big match, but I thought he should have went over in that match. I don't know if this rivalry is over. Again, this is sort of hard to tell. Are we ending storylines here so we can sort of reset and move on to the Royal Rumble and get things in place for the Royal Rumble and beyond? Or are we still gonna have some more grudge matches, so to speak? I have no idea where AJ goes after this. I don't know where Finn Balor goes after this, but we do know where Dominic goes after this. As you saw the clip on Friday, they did an angle where he went to the house and attacked his father. And as I've said, you have to put the finale on this storyline. And a finale of that is Ray versus Dominic. But again, you have to convince Ray to do the match. And I think we got a small glimpse that Dominic went to the house with Rhea. And he was talking to us about, I like how he does, why are you yelling? Why are you yelling? I did like that little smart ass. But again, Rhea needs to attack Dominic's mother or sister or both. But I'm telling once you put their hands on the wife and the mother, that is going to trigger Ray and say, okay, now you need the ass whooping. So you can see they're still keeping that storyline alive, which I think they need to do. Yes, I know I said before they had to move away from Ray, which they have, but that portion of it, that was perfect. And, keep doing it in sort of increments until we can go full flesh, because they're going to have an encounter at the Royal Rumble. And I don't know if Dom's going to eliminate Ray or Ray's going to eliminate Dom. I'm going to lean on Dom eliminating Ray because of what happened the last time. It was the other way around. We'll see. But I don't know if Edge is going to be able to talk Ray to do a tag team match. I don't think that's going to happen because, remember, you still got Edge winning in the wings. You still have, oh God, what's his wife's name? Beth Phoenix waiting in the wings. And I know we're going to get that mixed tag. The question is it going to be Dom and Rhea versus Edge and Becky, or is it going to be most likely be Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley versus Edge? So I think that's sort of clear that we know we're going to get that mixed tag team match. But, again, where does AJ go after this? Where does the OC go after this? We'll have to see what happens on Monday. And then the last big match is the Bloodline versus the Brawling Brutes, Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens. And again, this was not an NXT-style match. I don't really think we got the holy shit moment. Well, you did, but not in the sense of somebody going through a table or jumping off the cage. I think for this, it was more about the story. It was more about the story of Sami, Roman, Jay, and Kevin Owens. And I thought it was great. I really thought the Bloodline was going to lose this match. I thought Sami was going to cost something. But this is a nice little twist that Jay is finally accepting him. You saw Jay give him that big ass hug at the end. You saw he got the hug from Roman. So I thought the match ended in the perfect way. I mean, how many times has Kevin Owens turned on Sami Zayn in NXT? It's just perfect. And I think eventually when we get that blow off, because I think we will get Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn versus the Usos for the tag team, I think we're going to get that match. And I think that'll be a WrestleMania match. But just until now, just until then, how we're building it, and he is finally a member, like Michael Cole said, the honorary part is finally going to get dropped off, I think was just perfect. So even though I was, how many matches was it? It was five matches. I was 1 for 4. I was 1 in 4. Excuse me. I was 1 in 4. I had one correct, and I was just dead wrong on all the other ones. I think that's the worst I did. Yeah, I was 1 in 4. But the closing of it was just, I mean, the low blow, the pointing to him, giving him the hoover kick, giving him up for Jay to hit the frog splash. I mean, just beautifully written storyline, or, match, however you want to say it, just beautifully choreographed, just beautifully put together. And, as a wrestling fan, that's what you look for. You look for that realism. You look for some shit to make sense. That's what you look for. When you get storylines and you get some things in the match or just in the story that just doesn't make sense, it irks you. Because take of it, this was a real life situation. If you were trying to prove your loyalty to somebody, I'm not saying you're going to go to that extent, if you know what I mean, but you know, this just trying to show, yes, I am your friend. I am with you. This is my past. They've hurt me too many times. I don't want to be a part of them anymore. I am with you. You guys are my family. Just, just a hint of realism to it. Okay, I can't think of the perfect example as something in a real life, but you know, all of us have been there at some point where we have been put in that position where you sort of had to choose between two former friends or just two, because I certainly have, where you were put in that position that it's like, okay, well, listen, the shit that happened between the two of you has nothing to do with me, but yet you're trying to force me to choose, and it's like, well, either I choose none of you, or I do make a choice because, yeah, maybe the two of you have your friction, but I can see where one of you was really fucked up in what you did. And you know what? Maybe you could do that to me when you get that opportunity. So you know what? I'm just gonna just push your ass to the side and I'm gonna go over here. You know? And that's sort of what you see now with Sammy. Yes. And I think Kevin admitted in one of the promos that, yeah, he's turned on Sammy. So Sammy's like, listen, you put him in the middle. Yeah, Jay doesn't like me, but you know what? You've crossed me too many fucking times, Kevin. I'm going over here. And now maybe at some point, Kevin can really just do something to show, hey, these guys are not your friends after all, and we'll get it. But just that sense of realism and just of it making sense. It's just, I mean, I'm looking at it, I'm like, yes, Triple H. This is what I'm talking about. What the fuck was that shit with Austin Theory? But yet you can come back and do some shit like this that makes fucking sense. So the match may not have been great, but the ending and the story tops all of it. And if you're grading it, it should get an A plus plus. It should. It really should. It was that good. If I am ranking the matches of the show, I will still say that the triple threat match was the best match. Behind that is the men's war games. After that, I'll give AJ Styles. Then I'll give the women's um, war games, and then the women's SmackDown match. That's how I would do it. But now Survivor Series is over. And now we're looking into the Royal Rumble. We're building towards the Royal Rumble so we can build towards WrestleMania. And I don't know, but I'm feeling the excitement. Hopefully, you guys are feeling the excitement too. Because, like I said, it's kind of hard to tell now where we're going in the women's division. Where are we going with the United States Championship with Austin Theory? We sort of know where Bobby goes. Where does Theory go? Where does Seth go? How soon before Cody comes back? What's going on with The Rock? You know, months ago it was speculated that The Rock would show up before Vince left, before War Games was even announced. There was talk that The Rock would show up at Survivor Series to help set up his thing with Roman. That didn't happen. Are we going to get the John Cena mess? Because remember, it was supposed to be Theory versus John Cena. But then when we saw the shit that happened with the Money in the Bank, and we're thinking Theory's getting buried, that's not happening. But will we get that match? Will John Cena show up either at Royal Rumble or after the Royal Rumble to set something up with Theory? Talk about Stone Cold. Who would he face? Might he come back? Who knows? Will we see Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus the Usos? Will we see either Sheamus or Drew versus Solo Sakai? What are we going to start building up to into the Royal Rumble, into Elimination Chamber, into WrestleMania. It's exciting. It really is exciting because you just have no idea. Will we finally get Sasha Banks and Naomi returning in the Women's Royal Rumble? Will one of them return? Will none of them return? What? Will Naomi return at the Royal Rumble? And would Sasha come back at the Elimination Chamber? Are we going to get Becky versus Bailey? Who's Bianca Belair's next opponent going to be? What's going to happen with Bray Wyatt? Just a lot of exciting things coming up leading into this. Just totally different avenues of where things could go. What's going to happen with Ray? What's going to happen with Rhea? Honestly, I think the moment is ripe right now to do Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley, because Rhea has just been an amazing run, and I think the best way to cap it off is for her to become the Raw Tag Team Champion. I'm sorry, the Raw Women's Champion, or she wins the Women's Royal Rumble. So I'm not going to make predictions yet on who's going to win. I mean, I sort of gave my prediction for the men already, provided that Cody comes back. But I haven't made predictions for the women's match just yet. But as I've said, I know it's like a broken record, but I'm going to say it one more time. If we are doing The Rock versus Roman, Rock needs to be in the Royal Rumble. And therefore, that's how you can keep the Seth and Cody thing going, because either Seth eliminates Cody or Cody eliminates Seth. But it'll probably be better if Seth eliminates Cody to prevent him, especially if you're going to have The Rock there. Because you can't have The Rock getting his match and then have the winner of the Royal Rumble. Because, like I said, nobody wants to see a triple threat match unless you're going to have a title defense on both nights. But I don't think you're going to do that, because especially if Cena or Austin's coming back, you're going to stack one night with that. Because you're going to have your big match is going to be Rock and Roman, most likely on night 2. And on night 1, you're probably going to want to have your John Cena and your Stone Cold, like a really big match to sort of be that level of having The Rock there. So let's see what Triple H and company does to build us up to Royal Rumble. I'm pumped up for the Royal Rumble. It's the last Saturday of the month. So I get a little tongue twisted. That's why I repeat some things sometimes. I get a little tongue twisted. Royal Rumble. I mean, it's so hard to believe that the Royal Rumble is not that freaking far away. I mean, you're gonna blink and the Royal Rumble's gonna be here. But I believe they said the Royal Rumble. Just looking it up right now. I believe they said the Royal Rumble was on the 28th. Yes, on the 28th. So that'll be here before you freaking know it. Get pumped, guys. This is a really good time. This is the first Royal Rumble WrestleMania season under the Triple H regime. And they've even said that Triple H wants to do a really good job and wants to make it as big as possible. And let me tell you, he can do it. He can do it. Don't think because Vince is not there that this year's Royal Rumble or WrestleMania is just going to be lacking something. It's not. Triple H has the creativeness. He has the team. He's been doing this for a long time, guys. He knows what he's doing. And that's why I'm so pumped to see it. I usually get excited for WrestleMania, but I haven't been getting excited for the Royal Rumble, because the Royal Rumble for the last few years have been a letdown of who they've been letting win. Because like I said, I am a big believer that the Royal Rumble should be a new person. It could be a repeat person if it makes sense. Like when McIntyre won, when Shinsuke won, new. To do the repeats of, back in the day when Austin did it, it made sense. Back in the day when Shawn did it, it made sense, because you didn't have a lot of the mega stars. You have a lot of guys now that are capable. Okay, you could have Bray win. You could have Braun Strowman win. You could have Riddle win, which I hope he does win one, because I think Riddle's pretty good. You could have Kevin Owens win one, Sami win one, one of the Usos, which will really be out of left field if one of the Usos won. Johnny Gargano. you just have so many different guys now. But to go back and have, to have Sheamus with another one, not now obviously, but like in the future, if Roman with another one, to have Seth with another one, you know, I doubt it'll happen. But let's just say you had Randy with another. It's not those guys' time. It's time anymore. You know, I mean, hell, I would even be okay if AJ won one, Finn Balor won one. You know, it should be for your up and coming guys, or for your guys who may not be up and coming but haven't had that moment, but have worked their way up to that level. To me, that's what the Royal Rumble should be. And sometimes just to have that cheesiness, like you had, I think it was last year when Ronda came out in number 30-1. I mean, to me, that's just shitting on it. You know, and didn't they do that 2 years ago with Brock Lesnar? It's like shitting on it. So, looking forward to it. The other thing I will say that was very refreshing, and this has definitely changed. If you noticed, Michael Cole was bringing up history. Finn Balor and AJ Styles, he brought up the Bullet Club. He brought up the War Games because he said, "Why does Paul Heyman know so much?" And he mentioned Sting. He mentioned names that's not even with the company anymore. Vince never would allow that because for whatever reason, Vince had this thing about ignoring history as if it didn't exist. And to me, it was stupid because the fans knew this stuff. And why would we pretend that it didn't exist? But that little nugget, I was happy. I was happy to see that they were throwing that history out there, especially with the Bullet Club. Even mentioning the term Bullet Club. That's another big change. So that's all I have for now, guys. I hope you enjoy War Games, and I hope you're looking forward to what's coming up for us. As fans of because we're not on the road yet to WrestleMania. It's not until after the Royal Rumble, but we're on the road to the Royal Rumble right now. And WrestleMania season's right around the corner, and I hope you guys are excited as I am. And just to have the back and forth, be able to do some of these podcasts, just discuss what's going on and what we think is going to happen. It's great to see Becky Lynch back. I don't know. It could just be me. I don't know. If you guys are my age, you'll know what I'm talking about. I believe it was earlier this week or late last week that Jason David Frank, who was the Green Ranger and the White Ranger, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. He was also Power Ranger Zeo. He was the Red Ranger. He was the Red Turbo Ranger. And then eventually, in the future, he became the Black Ranger. Another, I think it was Dino Fury. I could be wrong. I stopped watching Power Rangers after Lost Galaxy because it just got really too stupid after Lost Galaxy. I mean, Lost Galaxy was nothing to write home about either, but I was able to stomach it. Anyway, the reason I bring this up is you've seen New Day come out in a Green Ranger and White Ranger outfits. I don't know, and this could be a stretch. I don't know if Becky Lynch was paying some sort of homage because if you saw a portion of her costume had somewhat of a shield, and when I saw that, it kind of made me think about the Green Ranger. And looking at Seth Rollins' tights, the white and gold was similar to Tommy's White Ranger outfit. So I could be overthinking it. I was just curious. A lot of these wrestlers are fans of some of these things. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if the New Day comes out next week that they have some sort of tribute to him. But I was just wondering if that's what it was. But like I said, if you didn't know, Jason David Frank, who was on the Power Rangers, passed away by suicide. Apparently had an argument with his wife. But it's sad. First of all, it's sad that you know that he killed himself. How he did it, I don't know. I don't know if he hung himself or whatever. That was never released. And it really doesn't matter. It's just it's sad that a wife lost her husband and a child, a daughter, lost her father. Um, for us as fans who grew up with the Power Rangers, and for those of us in the age group, it sucks because it was a piece of our childhood. And I'm trying not to get choked up here because with the streaming services now, we can go back and we can watch some of this stuff and just have some of that nostalgia. And for those of you who have kids, you're passing down to what you guys watched when you came home from school, whether it was Darkwing Duck or the DuckTales or Goof Troop, you know, Beetleborg, VR Troopers, Superhuman Samurai, and obviously Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and then Power Rangers Zeo and everything. And, Kevin Conroy, who was the voice of Batman and Batman the animated series that would come on after school. Um, and he was also the voice in Batman for the Arkham games. He passed away, I believe, 2 weeks ago. So it's just like, pieces of our childhood. And even us as wrestling fans, where we're seeing a lot of the wrestlers that we grew up with, pass away or they're retiring. First of all, I realize how much older we've gotten. But just, I understand how my father felt. Because my father loved Ray Charles. And I understand how he feels now when Ray Charles passed away. And then some of the other artists that he grew up with were passing away. How it just affected him because that's a part of his childhood. It's a part of him. And when we start seeing people from our childhood, Jason David Frank or Kevin Conroy, pass away, it gets you a little bit because it's like, damn, you know? And you don't realize how much they're part of your childhood until they pass away. And you just start having that reflection like, damn, yeah, I couldn't wait to get home at 3 o'clock to freaking watch Power Rangers on Channel 5. I couldn't wait. And how I would talk about it the next day with, oh, did you see the episode of Power Rangers and all this and that? So I just want to show just to me of if that's what Becky and Seth were doing. But like I said, I totally could be wrong on that. So don't mean to bring anybody down with that, but it's just again, just recognition of somebody who was just, a part of all our childhoods. So, in closing, let me know what you guys think about what you guys thought about the War Games, and just give me your opinions, like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys later.